Chapter 4. The whole street. Shopkeepers, peddlers, servants, and inhabitants all knew Rogelio. As the saying is, everyone had some account to settle with him. He is familiar with all the establishments, or rather the modest little shops for the sale of crockery, imported provisions, novelties, cordage, and periodicals, interspersed among the ancient and imposing ancestral houses of the Calle Ancha, which was animated by the presence of the students and by the passing up and down of the streetcars. But those with whom Rogelio was most intimate were the drivers of the hackney coaches, of which there was a stand in the little square of Santo Domingo. Doña Aurora seldom went out. That a twinge of her rheumatism or cold or the heat did not decide her to send for one of those vehicles, so shabby in the appearance but so comfortable and convenient. She called them, emphatically, her equipages, and declared laughingly that her coach stood always waiting at the door with so punctual a driver that he had never once kept her waiting. Rogelio, as the only son of wealthy parents, indulged in a more luxurious mode of conveyance. His mother allowed him to keep a dashing brougham, and a pair of spirited horses at the livery stable of Augustine Squero, so that on feast days he might drive in the Retiro, or wherever he might like. She would not consent to his keeping a saddle horse, through fear of an accident, but nothing in the world would have induced Senora Pardinas herself to make use of that toy equipage. She was perfectly satisfied with her quiet hacks, except on some special occasion to make visits of ceremony or the like. She cared not a jot whether her carriage had a little extra varnish, or her coachman wore gloves or the goatskin cape. Owing to the frequency with which she employed them and to the judicious tips all the drivers of the square were devoted to Doña Aurora, as well as greatly attached to the señorito, though he loved to torment them, especially his compatriots, the Galicians, whom he was never tired of teasing. He ridiculed their native land, he sang the muñera for them, he spoke to them in the Galician dialect, like the servants in Ayala's comedies, and if by a miracle they were vexed, he would say, "I, too, swift charioteer, am a Galician of the Galicians," to which they would answer, "What a droll señorito." Whenever he went to engage a carriage for his mother, the moment they caught sight of him, he was a league away, they would laugh and lower the sign. He would appear upon the scene addressing them something in this fashion: "Winged Automedon, touch your fiery courser with the whip that he may fly to my enchanted palace. Already the generous steed, impatient, champs the golden bit. Behold him flecked with snowy foam. Boulogne, of what were you thinking that you did not perceive my approach?" "I was reading La Correspondencia, señorito." "La Correspondencia! What name have thy sacrilegious lips pronounced? La Correspondencia! By the tail of Satan! A revolutionary, an anarchical, a nihilistic sheet! Quick! Cast away that venom before thou comest near the honorable dwelling of the peaceful citizens. Hasten, run, fly, coachman! Hurrah, Cossack of the desert! On, drunkard demagogue!" The more extravagant the absurdities he strung together, the more delighted were the drivers. One morning Rogelio left the house wrapped up to the eyes in his cloak, for these closing days of October were bitterly cold, although the bright Madrid sun was shining in all its splendor. As usual, his errand was to go in search of a carriage for Doña Aurora. On reaching the corner of the square, he caught sight of one of his favorite equipages, a landau whose lining of Avellano shagreen was less soiled and worn than that of the generality of those vehicles. The driver, a stout man, fair and ruddy, answering to the name of Martin, was a Galician. Rogelio made signs to him as he approached, crying, "Martin, Martin of the Cape! Ho with the imperial chariot!" The driver was conversing with a woman whose face was hidden from the student, but at the sound of Rogelio's voice she turned around, and he saw that she was young and not ill-looking, of humble appearance and dressed in mourning. Senorito, what a coincidence, exclaimed Martin as he recognized Rogelio. This young girl is looking for the senorito's house, and she was just asking me the way there. She is a countrywoman of ours. She brings a letter. Will you let me look at the direction? Said the student, changing his manner and the tone of his voice completely as he addressed the young girl. The girl handed him the note, for it was only a note. Why, it is for Mamma, he said, as he looked at the superscription. Come with me. I will show you where the house is. Do you, driver, follow in your resplendent wake with your imperial chariot, drawn by that stately swan. Many thanks, senorito, said the girl in a sweet and well-modulated voice, and with the sing-song accent peculiar to the Galicians of the coast. There is no need for you to trouble yourself. I can see the door of the house from here. The driver pointed it out to me. It is no trouble. I am going that way, replied the young man. Without offering any further objection, the girl walked with him in the direction of the house. Rogelio instinctively took her left as he would have done with a lady. He had not gone a dozen steps, however, before he repented of his gallantry. In the first place, his companions would ridicule him unmercifully if they should chance to meet him accompanying so politely a girl wearing a shawl over her head and dressed in a plain merino skirt. In the second place, Rogelio was at the age when a boy brought up under maternal influence in the pure atmosphere of home cannot avoid a feeling of painful shyness when brought in contact with persons of the other sex with whom he is unacquainted. It is true that women of an inferior station did not confuse him so much. Young ladies were like death to him. He always fancied they were making fun of him, that everything they said to him was only in sport, to draw him out, enjoy his confusion, and ridicule him afterward among themselves with malicious and pitiless irony. Walking at the side of this girl dressed in mourning, however, he experienced the same sort of confusion, for, notwithstanding her humble dress, neither in her manner nor in her appearance was there a trace of vulgarity. Shall I speak to her? He said to himself. Will she laugh at me? She will laugh at me more if I say nothing. No, I must say something to her. What he said, and with the utmost seriousness, was, Do you know whom that letter is from that you are taking to Mamma? Why, certainly, she replied. It is from the young ladies at General Romera's. Don't you know them? Of course I do. General Romera was a friend of Papa's. We have not seen them for a long time. Dona Pascuala, the elder, has been sick. She had something they call tonsillitis. Ah, she is very ill. And is she better now? Asked Rogelio, for the sake of saying something, for anxiety for Dona Pascuala's tonsils would never have deprived him of his sleep. She is entirely well now. If she was not well, I should not have left her. Were you living there? Rogelio did not venture to say at service. Yes, senor, ever since I came from the old land. Ah, you are a Galician, then. There is no reason why I should be ashamed of it. Nor I either, caramba. No, senor, no, indeed. It is a very good country, better than Madrid or than any other place in the world. Rogelio smiled, pleased with the girl's patriotism, and beginning to feel at home with her, for she seemed to him incapable of ridiculing anyone. They were now near the house. Martin, who had gone on in advance, stopped his hack, a task which was easier than to make him start, and at the door stood Doña Aurora, making signs to her son.